Welcome to the Roster Athletics and Race Result Integration Overview. You can now use the Roster Athletics competition management platform with the Race Result chip timing system to run your non-stadium events. With this easy integration, you can use the same familiar roster platform to set up your road or off-road events, manage athlete registrations and payments, and see live results in the roster app or on the website, all with chip timing using the Race Results system. Setting up race results to use with Roster is done in a few easy steps. You will use Roster to handle athlete registration and bib assignments, as usual, and simply have to connect to the race results system as we will be showing. In the video description, you will find a link to our race result integration user guide for details on the entire process. Let's jump into it. Here you see race results and Roster Athletics side by side on the screen. We've gone ahead and created a competition on Roster Athletics. If you have any issues bringing up race results software or creating a competition on Roster, please see the corresponding user guides. On Roster, we created a competition called Demo RR Event. And we are going to go through the one piece of information that's necessary to link the race results. So here we have in Roster our 10K trail run, and under details, timing system integration, we'll see an option to enable race result integration. So go ahead, click on that, make sure to save, and you'll see a link that will be used to connect to race results. So we're going to copy this link and see where it's used over in race results. Now on the race results side, we're going to first create a new event, a new competition. And we'll use the standard or default template that Race Results has. We'll go ahead and create it, and we'll see a couple different events come up. It actually doesn't matter what events are listed here, but just to make it a little cleaner, we're going to just change this to a 10K race. Again, it doesn't matter because race results will only be sending chip information over the roster. And so the actual event itself and the race results doesn't really matter. But just to make it look better, we're changing this to what we actually have, which is the 10K. So make sure to save in race results on the upper left-hand side. And you'll see now that we have 10K. Again, this isn't necessary, but definitely looks a little better when you bring it up. Next, on to timing points. So go to timing on the left-hand menu, timing points, and this is where we'll be naming the instance, the actual mat and system. So in this case, we'll call it start plus finish, since the one mat will serve as both the start and the finish. Now, if you have another system and another mat that'll be used for a split, you can name that instance here as well. But we have one, so we'll just go ahead and save. Next, we'll set up the exporter or the data exporter over the roster. Here we can give it any name. We'll just call it finish line. Leave the next two as they are, all, and blank for the filter. But under the destination, we have to make sure to use HTTP post. In the next field, we send it the destination address, which is the link that we got from Roster. This is important as it tells race result where to send all the chip timing information over to Roster. Next, for the export data field, make sure to select raw data record JSON. And that's the data format that it'll be sending. And for line N, just pick CRLF, the first choice. So now our data exporter is all set to go as well. Make sure to save these on the upper left-hand corner. And we'll move on to the actual system. So once the system is up, you'll see that appear here. So we'll come back to this later after we've set up a few more things, configure the split timing software in Roster, as well as setting up the hardware in Race Results. Now that we've configured Race Result to be able to send chip transponder timing information to Roster, let's look at how Roster will process the data and how you'll be viewing the results. First, remember that all participants in chip-timed events in Roster Athletics must be assigned a bib number, which is easily done on the Roster platform. The transponder times transferred to Roster Athletics will be associated with a bib number. In the case that you happen to be using active transponders instead of the typical row race bibs with a passive transponder, you must first upload a chip file to Race Result, which you can read more about in the user guide. Let's look at configuring chip timing results within Roster Athletics. So in Roster, go to the far left-hand side menu and select Results. Click on that, and then within Results, go to the upper right-hand side menu and select Chip Timing and enable chip timing and splits. This will then bring up a new window. On the far right-hand side of this window, you'll see display scheduled start time marker name, the actual start time, which can be manually entered, and then rank by gun time, net time. We'll choose net time, and then displaying results. If Race Result is enabled with a digital time marker tag, you can put that in here. Typically it's called marker. In this case, we don't have that, so we'll use a manually entered start time, which we'll do in a minute. Next, we're going to add an intermediate split point to our race. That'll be at the 5K mark, and the timing point will be the same mat that we're using for the start and the finish. It'll be a 2-loop race for our 10K. So go back to Race Results, find the timing point name, and make sure that this timing point name is copied over and matches what will be used on Roster. So the start, the split, and the finish will all use the same timing point or timing mat in this race. We can hit save to save this configuration and essentially be ready to time our event. But let's look at one more useful feature. In Roster, you can set activity windows to filter out extraneous chip timing information that may be sent from Race Result. Since the mats are sensitive to transponder proximity, you may get unwanted readings from athletes accidentally or unexpectedly crossing the finish line, either before, during the race that they pull out, or at the finish. To minimize the impact of this, we can set activity windows. We'll open our start window from the start of the race for 2 minutes to get everyone over the start line. We'll set our split halfway point from 18 minutes to 30 minutes. And then our finish line window will be from 40 minutes from the start of the race to 2 hours. Since we're not using a marker time from Race Result, we'll enter in the recorded start time as the actual start time of 8:59:47 for this example. So now we'll hit save and we're ready to go. Please note that these activity window settings can be set or modified at any point, including after the race has concluded. All of the unfiltered transmitted raw data from race result is stored in Roster Athletics and thus available. We'll now go through a quick video example on how easy it is to set up a race result system and timing mat and start timing. Here is a basic race result timing system consisting of a timing mat with corresponding wires and the system box. You'll also need to connect a PC for configuration. Here is opening up the race result system control box. Connect all the wires from the mat to the back of the control box. Turning on the control box. Connect your computer to the control box through the Ethernet cable. Alternatively, you can also use a race result SIM card for wireless transmission. The system is now connected and the timing mat is rolled out over the finish line. Just 2 more steps before we're ready to go. First, enable the system to start recording data by hitting Start on the control box. Second, enable the system to start sending data to Roster by going to your race result configuration systems menu we saw earlier and enable the connection to the connected system by hitting the green play button. Now the system is ready and we can start the race with bibs crossing the start and finish line. This concludes the video. For more details, please see our user guides linked in the video description below. You can reach out to our Roster support email with any questions you may have. Thanks for watching.